Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My name is Sarah and my channel is called Your True Shelf. Today I'm talking about the books that I have hauled and read in the last week and the books that I am currently reading or planning to read next. So, been a good week. Trying to remember. It's been stressful in parts but less stressful than last week, and I've had a really nice weekend. It's Sunday today as I record this, and weekend's just been nice and relaxing. I've just been having a disco with the children, so we turned all the lights off, and Faye's got a disco light, so we put the disco light on and we played some music and we just jumped around for half an hour, which was really fun. It was really nice. So I'm feeling a little bit hot, but other than that, all good. So the books that I hauled this week, I bought one and I was given two. So I'll start with the one I bought. This is the third in the series, and I was really excited because I knew it came out this month, and I went to Sainsbury's and I found it in Sainsbury's, which was really cool. So it is the third in the Pages & Co series, the Tilly and the Book Wanderer series, and this is called Tilly and the Map of Stories. It's by Anna James. So this is the premise of the book. If you don't know about the series, it's a sort of middle grade series. Tilly and her family own a bookshop, and they have some sort of magic because they can wander into books. So characters can come out of the books and come and see them, and they can actually step inside the plot of a book and become a part of it. You have to make sure that you can get out again, because if you go into a book where dangerous things happen, you could come to some harm. So there's also in the last book, there is some people who work in the library for book wanderers who have been stealing pieces of the plot and altering the plot in fairy tales. And I think for this book, they are going to America. Can't remember why. Oh, they're going to visit the archivists in America to try and save book wandering. That's what they're doing this time. So I've really loved these. They all come out sort of quite near to Christmas. They are very cozy. So they are very comforting, very cozy, and I've really loved the series. I can't wait to revisit it with the kids when they're a bit older. And so yeah, it's really nice to have this as an addition. Then the two books that one of my colleagues at work is a big reader, and when he really loves a book, he tends to pass it on to me. So the first one is by an author that I haven't ever read, but he speaks highly of. And this is called Dancing Backwards by Sally Vickers. So this is nearly dropped it. This is about a lady called Violet who is going across the Atlantic to meet an old friend called Edwin. And she's sort of on a voyage back through time, so to speak, because she's thinking about when they used to be really good friends, and I think they lived together as aspiring poets. And then his oldest friend came, and sort of the whole thing was changed, and I guess it all fell apart, and now she's going back to meet Edwin across the Atlantic, and going back on sort of a journey through the past, and also getting to know the passengers and the crew aboard a ship. So that's all I know about that one. And then the next one is by an author who I've already got 3 of their books, of which I've read none. So she's probably going to have to be one of my one of my reading resolutions for next year, because I like to pick authors that I keep amassing their works and not reading. And this is Music and Silence by Rose Tremain. This one is set in the 1600s, 1629, about a lute player. He goes to play at court for, in the Danish court, for King Christian IV's Royal Orchestra. And he says that the musicians perform in a freezing cellar under the royal apartments, and he's come to a place with opposing states of light and dark. And then he's a very good looking man. Not so much in the picture on the front cover, but he's apparently a very good looking man. And he falls in love with a woman who is the companion to the king's wife. And yes, he says he has to decide between duty and passion. So like I say, my colleagues spoke really highly of this, And I know Rose Tremain writes sort of a mix of present or sort of more modern and historical fiction. So yeah, that'll be an interesting one. So that's all the books that I've hauled. So next I'll tell you about what I finished reading last week. So the first thing I finished was The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman, which is the second in the his Dark Materials trilogy. I can't obviously talk about it particularly because it's the second in the series. I did talk about it quite a bit when I recorded last week. So I'm not going to go over all the same things again, because if you want to hear my thoughts, go and watch last week's, or if you have already watched it, then you don't want to hear it all again. I ended up giving this a 4-star. I didn't like it as much as I liked the first book, the Northern Lights. I really enjoyed it. There were bits which were very, very gripping and very engaging, and there was quite a lot of sort of theoretical discussion going on as well. So I really enjoyed it, but I didn't quite love it as much as I did with the first one. So anyway, we'll see. Heather and I are going to buddy read the third one. So I'll see what I think of it when it wraps up in the third book. So I just had to stop filming and go away because I developed a visual aura. I don't know if any of you have ever had them before. Like, people sometimes get them before migraines, where you just see these like lights flashing like this in the corner of your eye, and then it slowly spreads out and bigger until you can't really see properly. And I just noticed, I just started to talk about the next book, and I was like really distracted because I could just see these lights. So I just had to go and lie down and shut my eyes for half an hour. And luckily it's passed, so hopefully I won't get a migraine. But I think this only happened to me once before. I think it's probably triggered by the disco lights in Faye's room. That's all I can think, that it might have done that, because this is like really uncommon for me. So hopefully I'll be talking normal sense now. But that was really quite unpleasant. Anyway, so the last book that I finished this week, or the second book that I finished this week, is this one, which is Autumn by Ali Smith, which was on my October TBR. So, how do I talk about this book? This is a book that I didn't rate as highly as it probably deserves, because it wasn't quite my thing. So, Ali Smith is undoubtedly a supremely intelligent and talented being, and her writing is wonderful, but it's not quite my thing. And so, because I rate my books on enjoyment rather than the skill of the writer, I only gave it 3.5 stars, which is probably like really offensive to some people. But basically this is about a man called Daniel Gluck, who is just over 100, and a young woman called Elizabeth, who's about 30, and it's a kind of interaction between their lives. They were neighbours while Elizabeth was growing up, and it's set in the time of the referendum about Brexit, and it just is lots of sort of clips of the present day where Daniel is in a care home and he's sort of in the state between life and death, and Elizabeth is just kind of living her life as a university lecturer. And it sort of has lots of vignettes of their different times that they shared together and current day moments, and where Daniel is in his mind in this kind of state between life and death. So there's not really like a plot, and there were some bits which were brilliant. Like there's this bit where Elizabeth goes to get her passport renewed, and she has to wait for ages and ages in the queue, and then when she gets to the front of the queue, people are saying, like, the people who work at the post office are like, oh, your hair's in the wrong place, you're gonna have to start again, your eyes are too close together, your face isn't the right size, and all these kind of really funny conversations that she's having with the staff. And those bits really made me laugh. I really enjoyed them. You could totally see those things happening. But then there were other bits, like there was recurrent bits where Daniel was inside a tree, and there's lots of bits about art. There's about two So about an artist who was a female pop art artist in the 60s who was very much glossed over because she was a woman. And there's a bit about Christine Keeler, and it's they weave in and out of the story as well. And I watched Jen Campbell's review of this book, which was really, really helpful because it showed me how much of the book I was missing, because Jen had a lot more insight into, like, there's a lot of bits which are sort of parallel to Alice in Wonderland, and I haven't read Alice in Wonderland since I was a kid, and I don't think I really liked it when I was a kid. I don't even know if I read the whole thing. And so I think there's a lot that went over my head, but I didn't really enjoy quite a lot of the sections of the book, and so that's why I'm only giving it 3.5 stars. And I apologise to any Ali Smith fans. I just think she's either like your cup of tea or she isn't. This is my second Ali Smith I read, and I sort of felt the same about the one before, so maybe she's just not my thing. And then moving on to what I'm reading now, so I'm just going to put the dust jacket back on this because I took it off. So I just started this morning at this, which I have been really keen to start for ages, and I just, it's so beautiful. This is The Wild Remedy by Emma Mitchell. So this book is non-fiction. So Emma is an artist and a writer, and she's had depression for 25 years, since she was 19. She has a lurcher and 2 daughters and a husband, and I think she lives in East Anglia actually. And this so far I'm reading, I've just read or coming up to the end of the introduction, and it's talking about the benefits of nature for mental health, which are sort of scientifically evidenced. I know we all know how we feel when we go out into nature, but there is actual studies talking about this. I read a book called The Nature Fix about a year and a bit ago, which was all about this, and it sort of there's things called forest bathing in Asia, where people will spend time, a certain amount of hours in a forest, and if, as part of studies, they've shown that their immune system, like so their natural killer cells, are elevated after they've been in the forest, and they remain elevated for a month. It has an impact on serotonin levels, on decreasing blood pressure and heart rate and stuff like that. And so even though we all know we feel better in nature, this has also been researched as well. And so she talks a bit about that, and then she's moving on to a month of the year, each for a whole year, and it starts with October, which is why I wanted to do it this month. And it's basically like some writing. I don't know what the writing's about yet. I guess it's about what's happening in nature that month, but it's full of like photos of what's around and ink and watercolour drawings, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to read it. I especially think it's a good timing for me because I'm learning to do ink and watercolour drawings at the moment, and I love nature. So this is what I'm reading now. I'll read to the end of October, which is about 35 pages I think, and then I'll stop and read the next bit in November and carry on for the whole year. So you'll be hearing a lot about that book. And then I'm listening, so on Audible, I'm still listening to The Antidote for Everything by Kimmery Martin, which I'm really enjoying. So the actual bit that I think the book is about hasn't really happened yet. At the moment, Georgia, the urology surgeon, is on her conference in Amsterdam, and she met someone on the plane, and she's just gone back to his place, and that's where that story is at the moment. And we know that her colleague, I still can't remember his name, he hasn't really been in the story that much. Her colleague Jonah, that's it, Jonah, is still in the States, and for some reason his patients are starting to cancel him and are saying that there's problems with his care, and she can't understand what's going on because she said he's always been an excellent physician. So that's sort of I'm really enjoying that. I really like, I get the kind of lifestyle and things references because of my job as a doctor is the same, and so I can kind of really resonate with what they're saying. And there is a bit of clinical stuff in there which I like. Kimmery Martin is a physician, which you can totally tell from the book. So I'm really enjoying that. But I've had to put it on pause because I started doing a buddy read with Kieran from Kaylee Books, and I'm listening to that on Audible. So I'm buddy reading Redhead by the Side of the Road by Anne Tyler. We picked this book because Kieran has been reading the entire long list of the Booker Prize. This was not... Hold on, I can hear a cat stuck somewhere. Hold on. So it wasn't shortlisted for the prize, but we still agreed to buddy read it. It's quite short, so the Audible's only 4 hours 50 minutes, and I'm over halfway through. I'm really enjoying it. It's about a guy called Micah who leads quite a kind of a quiet life. He does this. He has like a rota that he sets himself for his sort of household chores. He has his own business doing IT. So people sort of call him when they're stuck with something computer related, and he'll go and help them out. And he has a girlfriend who he's been seeing for about 3 years, but they don't live together because he quite likes his own sort of own company and his own space and things. And he is... Yeah, so we're sort of following him with his life. It's very slow and gentle. And then one thing that happens is quite early on in the book, he gets a knock on the door from this young man who is about 18. And he basically says, I think you're my dad. And he's like, what? And then he finds out who the mum is, and the mum is his ex-girlfriend. But he said he never slept with the ex-girlfriend. And so he can't see how this kid is his son. And I won't say what happens from there because I don't want to do any spoilers, but I'm enjoying it. It's very gentle. It's my first Anne Tyler, I think. I've got Ladder Reviews and A Spool of Blue Thread on my shelves behind me, but I haven't read either of them. And I'm really enjoying it. It's just like one of those kind of in-depth look at sort of people and their relationships without a huge amount of plot, but I'm really enjoying it. And the narrator is awesome on Audible. So that's what I'm reading now. And then what am I going to read next? I'm probably going to read one of my library books. So the ones I've picked for my October TBR is Lanny by Max Porter, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, and The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. So I'm going to read one of those next, I think. Let me know your thoughts on what I've read, what I'm reading, anything that you're enjoying at the moment that you want to tell me about would be lovely. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!